Good evening, everybody. I'm working on a special project right now that I think it's not anywhere near launch, but I've at least gained the knowledge that I need to be able to make this work. And essentially, it is a Bitcoin blockchain sustainability program. Now, the reason that I am working on this project is because I know that we're going to be looking at a currency devaluation. It's going to be pretty slow, but I suspect about the dollar will lose about 80% of its value, um, and it's going to go to the SDR, which is run by the IMF, to create a global currency after the economy collapses here in the United States. So we, the little people, and grocery stores, truck drivers, gasoline stations, your typical buy and buy person doesn't have access to pre-buy into the SDR. Only nation states and very powerful corporations and NGOs can even get loaned, and it's always going to be a loan. The SDR is a loan. It's a debt-based currency, and the IMF is the king of all the central banks. Okay, so this is right on target here with the one world, the one world government, the new world order. I mean, it's no joke here. We're living in these times. So I said, gosh, I have to be able to insulate my community so I can maintain my standard of living. I don't want to live, where I have to cook rice outside on a solar, in a solar oven or whatever. I kind of enjoy the fruits of modern civilization. There's no reason that we need to lose these. I think I mentioned earlier that we're already living in a cashless society, or essentially a cashless society. There's over $20 trillion that's on the books, by the Treasury, that's in circulation, if you will, circulation. But there's only about 1.1 trillion in actual hard currency. So you're already living in a cashless society. So that's neither here nor there. What we need is a global a currency that enables the little people like us to be able to trade globally, just like the big guys can do. The game is rigged. It's clearly unfair. So we need to be able to create options where we can operate fairly, both within the borders of nation states and outside of the borders of nation states. So my proposal is Bitcoin. The main problem I've seen with Bitcoin, is the volatility in it. And what I propose, there's several different things that need to be accomplished, but one of the first things that needs to be accomplished, and actually Dread Pirate Roberts, also known as Ross Ulbricht, was able to do this with the Silk Road, was to create a futures market in order to stabilize the volatility in Bitcoin. And currency markets operate like that all day long today, where you can essentially hedge. You can go long or short on different positions of currency around the world. That the currency trading market's bigger than any stock market. They used to call it like the not the black market, but kind of like the shadow market or the under market or whatever, because currency trading is bigger than anything that you could trade. So what I would like to have is somebody on my team that would be able to kind of head up the project of building that futures exchange where people can trade ahead of time to go long or short on Bitcoin in order to stabilize the price, just like we do with any other commodity or any other currency. The second thing that needs to be done, and I'm going to take care of this myself, I'll be contacting vendors, contacting suppliers, and contacting everybody along the way in a supply chain, and show them the value, not only the ease, but the value of transacting in Bitcoin, and because people are afraid right now. People understand, at least on some level, that economic crisis is coming. And by participating in this chain that we're creating, this is a new supply chain based on blockchain. Number one, it'll increase the value of the Bitcoin. So there's going to be money to be made by the traders in the futures market. As the dollar devalues, it's very doubtful that the Bitcoin or the piece of the blockchain that we decide to use, and again, this is part of the team that I'm putting together, is going to be relatively stable. So, and it's going to be easy to trade. So, we want to get bananas in from I don't know if we trade with Colombia, but say we want to get bananas from somewhere in Latin America or South America, they can trade in block in Bitcoin. Say we need to get fuel, which actually should end up being very, very cheap once they could complete these pipelines. I mean, oil could go as low as, I'm just taking a wild guess here, $14 a barrel, maybe. So it's absolutely going to bankrupt Saudi Arabia and the rest of them. Because there's plenty of oil reserves to be tapped. We will reach a point of peak oil, and hopefully, I digress. These are some environmental things that we need to take care of later, but first we need to get our economic house in order. Essentially, my job will be to educate people on how to use the blockchain, how it works, what the history of it, what the advantages of it are. I'll demonstrate the costs of what it takes to create the Bitcoin. And ultimately, anybody that participates in the structure, in the supply chain that myself and this team builds, we're going to take probably about, my target is a 2% commission on every trade. And I think that's more than fair. It's less than what you would pay in capital gains taxes. It's less than what you would pay in tariffs and so forth. So, and also not to mention the growth of the value of the Bitcoin. So 2% target for that, I think, is extremely fair. It'll enable me to continue to expand and run the organization, and with enough success, I'll be able to focus on community-based environmental issues, initiatives like getting fiber optic laid here, and I'd also like to see a major conversion into solar, which can be done quite cheaply. So, I mean, this 2%, obviously, it's not to enrich me personally so I can go lay on a beach somewhere. There's a lot of work to be done for humanity's sake, and I intend not to have children. And I've said that passing on your ideology or leaving the world a better place is just as important, if not more important, than having biological predecessors. I mean, it's just, I mean, any dumb bastard can get out there and have babies, but it takes somebody with a lot of dedication and to want to leave this world a better place than what we found it, and that's ultimately my goal. And as it expands, we're going to need a support center. We're going to need essentially a call center. So if anybody has problems with payments or transactions or vendors or vendor ratings or any of that type of stuff, it'll all be kept by our support center, which will just be a 24/7 dedicated call center, and that'll give people even more jobs. So it's like, when people always talk about precious metals being the only real currency, it's foolish, because we're not going to ever go back. There's just not enough to go around, number one. And we're never going to go back to the days where we're going to be bartering with silver and gold coins. You're a damn fool if you believe that. Now, in the intermediary, it might hold a hell of a lot of value, but it's going to hold value in something like, what can you trade it for? And you can trade it for maybe dollars, which maybe you could convert into land, and then I don't know what you would do with it, because I don't know who could afford it unless they had both silver and gold, and it's silly, and there's no way that we're taking a step backwards and not a step forwards. So we're gonna continue to work on this. If you have some ideas, I'll be happy to entertain them. Say I'm looking for partners in this venture. There's no sense in reinventing the wheel if you've been there and you've got some ideas, and I'm dedicated to make this work, not only because I believe in freedom and your ability to own your own labor, of the libertarian bent in that way, but I also want to and feel a strong desire to protect my community and my families, and also maintain my standard of living. With the technology that exists today, there's absolutely no reason that we need to suffer. And in every economic collapse, there's always been opportunity, and I think we can take this opportunity to improve our systems and free ourselves from the shackles of the ones who wish to enslave us. So, much love to you all, and I will catch you later. Good night.